This is the big end of your wrap-up show. Everyone's gonna be ready.
I forgot. I brought my. I'm gonna take this out, but I brought my end of year sweater. I can't hear anything you say.
Oh, there's a uniform. I didn't know there was gonna be. That sounds too
I brought my
complicated.
holiday sweater, which I'm gonna wear.
Wardrobe. We've got wardrobe now.
For our holiday special.
All right, let's see if I can get it all. Put it in the Slack this time.
There we go.
Very, very, very dapper there.
Straight from Reykjavik. I think it's the Knitters Guild or something. If you look it up, that is the place that you're supposed to go to buy authentic Icelandic sweaters made from Icelandic wool and all of that. I probably recommended it. I don't know. Was it, how long has it been since we've been able to travel? 10, 15 years? Maybe 15 years ago when I could travel and I went to Iceland.
At least you got the sweater while you're there.
Yes, I got two. That's my new thing is like when you travel somewhere, you should buy the clothes that are indigenous to the area, unless they're terrible.
Quick Slack etiquette. If I want to tell everybody, do I do at, like, I know I can do ad channel at here. Ad here is just like the people that are like online.
At here's
right?
the people online.
So that's sort of the etiquette, right? It's like you should do ad here. Not like I don't want to like wake people up.
Channel's gonna wake people up and stuff.
So at here. All right.
I don't know. I think if they have,
I mean, it is our Slack.
They want to.
No, but I still like. Right? I actually created an announcement channel. I was like, maybe we should start using that because I know other people like that, where it's like you just put all your announcements in there. But I haven't actually. No one's in it, so it doesn't really work.
No.
So that's going to be a lot of work. Anyway, all right. I put it in the Slack. People should know. All right, Cote, and we're going to have just 2 ad breaks wherever you feel it.
I'm writing the Twitters too.
And then I have my audio hijack going. You got yours, Matt?
Me too. It's already running.
Fantastic. Wow. Professionals here at end of the year.
Took the whole year to get there.
Well, some would say it took us many years. But.
Do we have are there show notes for this episode?
Yes, there are.
Okay.
Yes.
Speaking of professionals,
yes, there are. We've got some questions from the audience. Well, I figured we definitely want to take some questions from everybody too. So, maybe we get some in the chat as well.
Are we doing predictions?
Predictions.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of broke it down into like if you want to, you can. So I sort of had sort of like some stories of the year, right? Mm-hmm. Stuff you hated, stuff you liked, and then next year, right? And then
I like that.
There's a whole bunch of, so I think, so that's kind of what I was thinking, Cote, is like cold open, ad break, whichever one of these things you want to do, like any of that stuff is fine, right? And then ad break, and then probably got 10 questions in here of all kinds of random stuff that we can do, so we can pick some of those out, and then that's it. Everyone's done.
All right.
And then there's the normal stuff too, like we can do quickly listener feedback, and then recommendations like normal. That works.
I just want to. I gotta find.
Find slide of the year. Yeah, no, people asked about it. Like the only ones I could find were like very politically related that I don't really want to talk about, and I was like, let's just leave that. There's a lot of like.
Yeah.
I know we talked about some. I need to start tagging them when I put them on.
That's
Instagram
what I'm looking at right now.
I need to like start like being like, hey, this is the slide of the year.
Here, let me. I'm gonna put it in the. I can't put it in the chat. How do I?
You put it in the Slack. Put it in the chat. You can put it in the.
Hold on.
Private chat.
I have to log into. I still haven't created a Restream account, which is.
You can do it right. You can do it right here in the private chat.
Oh, but I was gonna share it with everyone.
All right, we'll just throw it in.
So here is when I bookmark.
You can't just post it in this chat right over here on the side. You're not.
I could, but I was.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I can't because I have to create an account. So I have some Bloomberg slide from March, but I don't see a link to it easily. Have you ever noticed with, as they used to say, mainstream media, like outlets. They don't really link to things very much. I don't get what the deal with that is. No, that's not good. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to find anything in time.
Well, that's fine. You can just reference it. When we find it later, we can always throw it up. It's not. What was it, Del? Which one was it? Describe it, maybe.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm looking through my bookmarks.
Was it a Bloomberg one from like Matt Levine?
Yeah, I remember looking at those Trump ones recently, and that was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, those were terrible.
Yeah, I mean, that was my initial thought, but then it's like, I don't know. Do we really want to talk about that stuff? It's like, sort of like,
sure.
Those were some bad slides. Like the unicorn slide lives on as like maybe the slide of all time. The SoftBank unicorn slide. I don't know if anything will ever displace that.
Not at all. Oh, and now it doesn't. Anyways, all right. Let's not hold up with this. Okay. Any other prep we need to do?
I don't think so. Post questions.
All right, listener questions.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like Matt. It sounds like you have predictions. Yeah, like is that good? Or you just
no. I was just I think that
you're
just kind of
super loud, Matt. I don't know. Are you hearing that, Cote? Is that just me? Like crank it down.
Right,
like
I'll back it up.
One notch.
Am I just too close? Yeah.
On the gain or something? I don't know.
Where's the gain on this thing?
Where's the gain?
All right, I'm gonna just keep talking.
Oh,
in the same
wow,
voice
that seems to be a lot better right there. Well, what's up?
How about now?
No, way too low now.
Okay, how about right about here?
Perfect. Can you see the green? Yeah. You see the little monitor in Restream?
Where does it? Oh, there it is. Wait.
Yeah. So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, if you just keep yourself like right at that fourth level, that seems to be about right.
Okay. Yeah, that looks. I never look at that thing.
Wait. So I know Matt asked this, but I'm looking at the page here. Do we do the rundown first or the questions first?
I was thinking the rundown, like cold open, whatever you want to do in the rundown. There's just a bunch of random stuff there, and then the questions is what I was thinking.
Okay. And do we have a hard stop other than?
I did not have any hard stop today. Kids are out of school, so we can go.
Kids, has something happened that I don't know about, Brandon?
My son. No, I'm sorry. My child. My only child is out of school. So
okay.
I have no.
You're not going to catch up with Cote and his 6 kids.
Hey,
that's I yield.
That's my joke, Matt Ray.
I yield the victory to both of you. So.
Was my volume too low? Should I turn it up some? Okay.
I think if I just look at it and just I don't know how I sent to y'all, but I just think if you're getting 4 greens, like that's what I see on mine. If you see the 4 greens.
4 greens. Okay, yeah, I need some more. How's this? Okay,
more green.
More green.
More green.
Yeah, whoa, too much. That's 5. I see 5 on you now, Cote. I need you down.
Really? Because when I'm talking, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, you're right.
Oh,
I see 6.
No need to be angry.
Okay, how's this? I see 1, 2, 3,
loud.
4. Okay, 2. I'm just saying that to look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's pretty good. How's that?
One more notch up, Cote. One more notch.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. How about that?
I think it's good. All right, now Matt. Now go ahead, Matt.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1.
All right, Matt. I think that's
4.
really good sound for you, Matt. I need you to never change your head position or microphone for the next 3 years. I like exactly where okay, no, Matt. You must remain. If a child could, one of your 7 children could duct tape you to the chair now, it would be perfect. That would be excellent.
Then the dog would start biting me.
Well, got to do what you got to do.
All right. Okay, y'all ready?
Ready.
Well, just in time for Christmas, here in the Netherlands, we have, I don't know if they call it a hard lockdown, because I don't think they arrest you if you leave your house. There's no official curfew. But, all the stores are closed. All non-essential stores are basically closed. Now, it did say in the story that I read that you can order your stuff and pick it up and return it, like if you schedule it, right?
Yeah.
And the grocery stores, of course, I think they're open till 8 or 5. I don't really know. And pharmacies. And what else is an essential store? You got pharmacies, grocery stores, attorneys.
Hardware store?
No, attorneys.
Whoa.
Notaries.
What if you have
Yeah.
a plumbing emergency?
Well, that like people coming to your house as a whole, it's a store, like a place that you go, right?
Right, but I mean, like, your Home Depot, Lowe's type places.
I think you can go pick it up. Maybe. I think that's.
Yeah,
I think that's
I
how
think
that's
click
gonna
and
go.
collect makes sense. Yeah.
Now there is. I don't know how it is in other countries. I mean, I know how it is in the States
Oh.
or America, as they say. But there's another role here called a notary,
Yeah.
and they can be open. Now, a notary in the States is just like not a big deal. A notary is like you go stand in front of someone, you show them your driver's license, you sign a thing, and they stamp it, and you're out, right? Whereas like a notary here, when we went to go buy our house, you go to a notary, and it's like a big fucking deal. I mean, this dude had like taken a shower and shaved, and he was living over in the museum district, a big old fancy expensive house with the crenellation shit and molding on the top, and he reads through your whole mortgage, more or less, and someone translates it for you because we're Americans. And you pay them a lot of money, and it's like a big notary is a whole other story around here. I don't know what that is, but they can remain open, and I think maybe there's a few other things that can remain open, but everything else is shut down.
Why is the notary? Because that's like how business transacts. You must have the signatures or something. Is that what?
Yeah. I mean, because Brandon, commerce stops for no man,
Right.
or woman, or plague. And
Right.
so I can see that like now the question might be, why are accountants not open? Right?
I don't know. Do we need them right now? They don't seem like.
It
seems like commerce will happen without accountants. Eventually, you need them.
I suppose there are major elements of life that if you don't have an attorney, you might as well catch the COVID and die, right? Like for example, if you're like you need to like defend yourself,
Immigration.
You got to have attorneys. That's just like a facet of life. So I think I'm trying to remember what we did last year, but I feel like it was very similar. So I don't know. It's starting to become like a Christmas tradition.
It's a season. Yeah, it's like a Christmas tradition. Well, we over here in Straya, we got ourselves a new equivalent of a governor, and I think he migrated from Texas. We just had 3 days in a row of the highest ever COVID cases right after they opened everything up. I mean, and he and like they started spiking up right before. I mean, no more masks. And how he's like, Australians just need to stand up together. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? Can I get some prayers and thoughts and prayers on this? I mean, because he's just like, I'm not even going to ask people to wear masks anymore. And it's just like, I mean, before we had lockdowns and stuff.
Which government person is this? Is this Prime Minister? What level of your government is this in?
It's the premier. It's kind of like the governor. So Australia states have a lot more power over the people. So
it's like Texas.
Yeah. And we have a new governor. Our old governor, she resigned because of some corruption stuff. And, but she was very moderate and down with science. And this guy, he not so much.
well, I want to check in here. First of all, let me update it. I went to go look it up. There's a few that's missing here, but essential services in the Netherlands, gas stations, check, big check right there. Right?
Yeah, definitely got to have that, right?
Pharmacies, yep,
yeah,
sounds good.
Got to have your meds. Yep.
Notaries and attorneys, as noted, so to speak. Now this one it takes some imagination, but I can get behind it. Driving schools.
Seems like you can wait on that. Feels like you can wait on that.
I thought you were going to take the Australian angle and be like, the bottle shops. Those were essential. Stayed open the whole time. You in Amsterdam, you've got the coffee shops. Are those essential?
Well, yeah, because you can order ahead and pick things up. Yes.
Okay. Whew. Civilization.
Now, actually, in my article, they don't say what the red light district is up to, but I imagine they're closed.
They closed that in Sydney. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, okay, my second question, Matt Ray. Now, when you said some sort of corruption, what was the corruption?
Oh, Gladys. So Gladys, our premier, that's what they call the governor here.
Like DJ Premier?
Exactly. more like DJ Khaled. But anyway, she she had a consensual affair. She wasn't married, neither was he, with another MP, a member of parliament, and a couple of contracts went to his district that didn't get a lot of review, and so the corruption people wanted to start reviewing it, and she's like, I'm out of here. You can't. And then they started digging into her texts and stuff, and it's salacious. It's a little corrupty, but it's not Texas corrupty, right? It's not.
You said it was an affair. It sounds like neither person was married. There was
neither one of them was married,
but not really even an affair, just a consensual relationship.
Yeah, but they kept it quiet because they didn't want the appearance of improprietary, and then the improprietary happened, right?
That's right. Always good to keep the appearance of improprietary down when you're performing improprietary type things. Got it.
So she stepped down, and she was from the moderate side of the Liberal Party, which is conservative, and it was replaced with a far right wing guy who likes to retweet Trump stuff, that kind of.
That's too bad.
Yeah,
that's good job. That's how that goes.
We miss Gladys. We were willing to overlook the corruption. This new guy, not so much.
That's a good name, Gladys. My mom, one of her best friends, is named Gladys, and that's a name that I don't think is very popular anymore. Like, I have not encountered anyone named Gladys recently. Okay. All right. Well, I just want to, I want to float this idea out for the next year, is that, like, maybe if you are a centrist and you have some minor quote unquote corruption, let's just agree that it's cool, right? Like it's all right. Like, I think maybe what we should do is you should be allowed, I think we should pass some kind of, like, let's see, some sort of monetary maximum corruption limit. Right. And then also some kind of, like, what's the word? Philandering, some kind of philandering, like, maximum limit. And it's just sort of like, hey, we're not going to give you how much would it cost to buy a fully loaded Escalade in Sydney, Matt Ray?
100,000.
So let's say you get an Escalade's worth of corruption. Now, we're not going to just give you an Escalade, right? And this can be like a custom Escalade with, like, cream interior, black.
They actually don't have those here. They're not legal, but whatever. Keep going.
This is my point. It would be very expensive to get an Escalade, right? And so, like, you get fully cream interior, right? Leather, of course. You're gonna get cream. Like, DVDs on the back of the seats.
Whip. Yeah.
You're even gonna get the DVD players on the cargo area, right?
Oh yeah,
no problem, right?
That's how Gladys rolls.
We're gonna put some big racks on top for, like, your surfboards or whatever kind of bullshit y'all have over there. Right?
Yeah.
You're gonna have gigantic rims, like, underlighting, whatever it takes, right? Let's throw in $200,000, right? And that is basically, again, the government is not going to give you that money. But if it is found that you have committed corruption up to the price of a totally kitted out Escalade, it's cool, right? And I think also you are allowed, for whatever your term is, it's either your term or 2 years, whichever is graded. If you are a centrist, you are allowed one philandering act. That's it, right? And in excess of that.
Now, do you go to the party leader and you're like, I got to vote against this because I got a little something going on the side?
No. There's no vote. What happens is, I think you have a prime minister there, right? Or no. I got it. Because you're in the Commonwealth still, right?
Yeah.
So the Queen basically gets on TV and she's like, it's fine. You know what the alternative is? And then you're cool.
The alternative is Boris Johnson.
Right. And so like, the Queen is like, hey, I don't know if you've kept up with the news around here, but that dude does not even comb his hair. So it's fine. Right?
Oh.
Now, if you exceed these limits, then, you have to accept, like, a right-wing person who is just going to, like, infect the whole state.
I feel like this is a variation of David Plotz of the political gab
That is
fest,
exactly who I was thinking about.
where he is very much in favor of bringing back pork barrel spending because he believes like that's how things get done. Like if you don't have pork barrel spending, like just nothing can get done.
I
So
was
feel
totally
like you're
channeling the plots right there.
You're kind of taking it more to like the social behavioral side though, where I think he was just sort of So I don't know. You're following in footsteps, maybe here, following in footsteps of greatness. I don't know.
And I think I'm going to add one more thing. I may think of some stuff in the episode, but you are allowed 1 3-week period where someone went and read your entire Twitter archive, like whatever's in there. If you're a centrist, it's fine. The Queen comes on TV. She's like, "Yeah, those were pretty terrible, but it's okay." Right?
It's okay.
Like that was a long time ago. You know, they thought it was a joke. I know it's not a joke. I know it's not good. But the alternative is going to be worse. So let's just let it slide. So these are the new rules. Is this now is it I don't know if I can leave now, but is this something I could book business class for to come over and suggest to your government system over there, Matt Ray?
The borders are slightly open right now. That's the other thing. It's like, different states have different rules, and New South Wales, where it's all new management, man, anything goes.
I think this is, I'm going to add a final rule. If you break the COVID rules and you're a centrist, you can do that once a year. If you invite like one more person to the birthday party than you're supposed to, you don't have to resign if you're a centrist. Everything's cool.
Fantastic. That we'll send this off to David Plotz and let him know you've properly channeled him. I like it. Hey, make sure to visit our friends at Strong DM, so that way you can make sure when you're not obeying the rules that no one is getting into your accounts and stuff like that. So check out.
Did I get that word right? Philandering? Let me look that up.
I believe so. Believe you said it right.
Define.
Make sure to check out
I almost said David Plotz at the beginning. Very good, Brandon. You and I have the same mind.
We are. I think he does a good job as a host. I think he's a very good podcast host.
What do they call the Amish thing where they go crazy?
Rumspringer or something?
Rumspringer, yeah. We should have politician Rumspringer. They get to like go nuts, and but then when they return to their parties, they'll welcome back with open arms.
That's right. They can
never leave again.
Officially join the church. I like that. Hey, just do a quick sound check. I think everyone sounds pretty good on my side. I don't know, Coach, if you did turn it up or not, but like you sounded better there. Okay, yeah, so I think you sound good. All right, so everyone's good on that. Now let's get to all the streamers here. We're going to do a segment of questions. Not that we don't always try to answer the questions, but if you want to put some questions in here, we'll make sure to answer your questions as well when we get to that segment in, I don't know, 15 minutes or whatever. Yeah. All right, good. The sound is good. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate that.
We should go through the recap stuff here quickly.
It's quite a year.
Okay, year. So hold on. I didn't write down any of the times. Hold on, give me 1 second here. Write down the times.
How about for stories of the year? I'll read through the ones you have, Brandon, and each of us can pick one to say that it was our favorite. Favorite is the wrong word. We can pick one that's sort of like, hey, how about that one?
Any of that's fine. Yeah, go for it.
And then we have hated, disappointed, missed. Okay, and then predictions. Okay. And then you will tell us as bureaucracy the most popular episode, right?
I don't know. That's probably not that interesting. When I actually found them, I was like, I don't know.
All right, well, let's delete it. I'm going to delete it.
All right, I'll delete it. Oh, there it is. Bye. Bye-bye.
Wow.
Bye-bye.
Good job doing the research, though, Brandon.
That's what it takes doing research. Sometimes you got to just prove the negative. You're like, I don't have anything good to say. Because there was nothing to like, I guess this is with all the podcast stats with Software Defined Talk. There's like, I can't make any sense out of it. Like sometimes the episodes are like super popular and I have no idea why. I'm like,
we need to find us like the one.
I don't know why. And then sometimes I think they're like, some of the episodes I think are really good and they're not as popular. I'm like, I have no idea why either. So I don't know. I always thankful there's no real QBR for Software Defined Talk because I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. That would be my answer to everything and be like, I don't know. Maybe Cote was especially funny. Maybe Matt's story about the dog was especially engaging. I don't fucking know. I have no idea why.
No,
why is that one more popular? Maybe that title was good, right?
All you have to do is make a year-over-year chart of the revenue, and it's always going up, right?
Yeah, that's good. We're probably good on that side.
Right.
Yeah,
you got to be like CEO of Software Defined Talk says, "Why fuck with a formula? You're just gonna mess it up."
The QBR is like, I don't know, but these are going up and to the right.
It's true. It would be a lot of that. I'd be like, I don't know. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me. So
all right. I'm ready.
All right, go ahead whenever you're ready.
One more ad, right?
One more ad, and then yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll do the. Okay, sounds good. Well, there's been a lot going on in what was this? 2021? Oh, that's going to be so weird. 2022. Strange times. But I think as always, Brandon has pulled together a good list of the stories of the year, which I will now read, but I want to give him credit. Now, I want to go over these things. I'm not going to add my commentary to it. And then I want each of us to pick a story that we think is, I wouldn't say the best, but something that is in the little used definition of this word, remarkable, which means worthy of remarks. Not remarkable as in awesome or like, fantastic, but just like, oh, that was a thing. So here we go. Number one. I shouldn't say number one. It's bullet points. This is not ordered. So we had the Solarwinds breach, kind of a big deal. I feel like I said I wouldn't commentate on it. Amazon, the AWS got a new CEO. The Google versus Oracle thing, the APIs were ruled not copyrightable, which I think Google won, I think is the way to summarize that.
Yes. Correct. Yep.
And then where I work, VMware, now an independent company instead of being owned by Dell Technologies. There were many, many companies that were funded and IPO'd. You got Confluent, GitLab, HashiCorp just last week, gigantic IPO
Snowflake.
there.
We made all of our
Snowflake.
listeners a huge amount of money.
That's right.
Recommended that. Strong buy recommendation on that. Mm-hmm.
And then I think another one that I think this has had lots of big effects, happened several times. You have, let's see, open source projects that had commercial backing behind them. AWS came in and basically just forked them. I don't know if fork is the technical word. They cloud forked them and came up with their own thing, their own version of it to run it. Then, of course, we'll combine these two together. We had Web3 and then crypto stuff. Lots of that going on. And then, of course, the most important thing that happened this year, I'm going to editorialize. Matt Ray got a new job. I think that was perhaps the most pivotal, earth-shaking moment of the year, I think is what happened. But I'm going to pass it to you. That said, Matt Ray, of these things, what do you think is one of the more remarkable things that occurred? What's one of these things that as the year has been going on, you've been, I don't know if you have eggnog there, but you've been imagining that you're going to slide into eggnog. Like, what are you thinking about? What has popped into your head multiple times?
Well, obviously, I'm a bit biased. I did get a new job.
I should have said you can't choose that one.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, there's to me, like there's some long-term things that I think will affect the industry as a whole. The Solarwinds breach with the tail end of the Log4j thing, that's obviously already having massive repercussions. People worrying about their supply chain. That's huge. The funding, they had to redefine unicorn. Now it's 10 billion, right? I mean, that's just nuts.
Decacorn.
The decacorn, it's not a thing, but it's a thing, right? And
can I suggest that we introduce the phrase candy corn? Could we have that to describe like extremely highly valued?
I think when we get to Centacorn, that will probably be
no. The candy corn. The candy corn is the company that was worth $1 billion, didn't take the money, and it's no longer worth.
That's a Docker.
Like that.
Docker would be the first candy corn.
Or
would have been.
Yeah, there might be a few others poking around, but
Matt, as you're talking there on the SolarWinds one, I think it was interesting because we sort of opened a year last year or this year rather. Solarwinds Breach was huge news, and then we kind of closed the year as we talked about last week, Log4j. And part of me just kind of feels like, well, we've kind of just gotten used to this now. Like they're just like every breach is very big, I feel like, and it's kind of like we were talking about the previous week. It's like, I don't know. I feel like we're maybe not desensitized. Yeah. I mean, there is like a sort of like that phrase. I know gets overused. Maybe people don't like it, but it is sort of like we just accept it. Like this is part of doing business, and you just have to like mitigate and take precautions for every new type of vector of attack. I mean, that's just how it is.
If we were doing predictions for 2022, and I was like, there's going to be a massive software breach, everyone would be like, that's the easiest bet of the year.
Wait, what you're making me think, Brandon, is, and I am not saying this to like wish something upon whatever, is that for all of these security breaches that day one, I very rarely hear about negative effects, right? Like it's really like, it's sort of odd that I don't hear like, and there were like 500,000 people who were completely wiped out financially and jumped off a building, right? Like there's never like it doesn't seem like the people reporting on it like ever chased down what happened, right? Like as a consequence of this, like something occurred.
You get small anecdotes about like ransomware attacks keeping hospitals frozen in place, or things getting shut down. The gas pipes on the East Coast.
That was a big news. That's true. That did have big effect.
And so that is that would be a good thing to. And again, I'm not saying someone should amplify the negativeness, but it's sort of like it would be nice to couple like these gigantic like big breach things with some description of what the effect is, right? So like with the SolarWinds thing, right? Like the only thing I remember is like government people use SolarWinds, and that was it, right? And like, of course, corporations use it, but it would be interesting to hear like, and then like, I don't know, these spies had to leave the country all of a sudden, and their kids had to enroll in like local schools because now they lost all their friends at like the IB school over here, right? Like, and I mean, I'm making fun of it, like whatever, but it's sort of like I very rarely hear like what happens, right? And like any research into that, which I think would be fascinating to like.
But I don't know. So to your question, though, Matt, I think earlier, I think you said maybe the predictions are just is a prediction that's sort of simple. I don't know if it's like necessarily that novel. It would just be like breaches are a way of life, right? Like, so there's going to be a big breach in 2022. And I predict that we'll just, we'll analyze it. The industry will kind of snap into place, whether it's an open source breach or something that comes out of enterprise software or something that's totally different. And, people will snap into like mitigate it, take precautions, update things, and, life will just continue on. Like that's just part of software today. Like the thought that there's like going to be like 0 breaches going forward, and maybe this is ever, it just seems
best
like,
year ever.
Yeah, it seems so. I don't, but I do think, I mean, in some ways it's like, it is sort of just like I don't know. Again, maybe it's kind of like the weather, like we talked about before. Just sort of like it's kind of good if everyone just kind of gets used to it, right? I guess maybe it's more important that people are aware of when they happen, and then they do whatever they need to do. So it's like when Apple does it or Android, right? You upgrade. You quickly do the upgrade to get the patch, right? And so that's probably the most important thing, is that people are aware of it and they do the thing that they need to do and they move on. There's no reason to spend a lot of time analyzing it.
Well, this makes me realize something. Like I've always thought in the U.S., this constitutional thing of like you have the right to privacy with your papers seemed kind of phenomenal, right? But it is like the right to privacy or whatever with your papers is an admission that some redcoats are going to come in and like take your papers. But you're going to put this whole legal system in, so you can never have your papers be secure. People can always take them and read them, right? So that secret is always going to get out. However, the way to get around that, or not around that, the way to mitigate it is you enshrine in the laws of the country that like that can't happen unless like it happens officially. So like if you steal someone's password and you get stuff with them, at least with the government, supposedly, you can't do anything with it because you didn't follow due process, which is an interesting, like, maybe that is like ultimately, like, if you if you accept that breaches are always going to happen, then you have to put in place some laws that spells out what happens. Kind of like my suggestions that if you're a centrist, you get all of these sorts of like things to kind of help you out. But I don't know, that is an interesting thing to think that, like, if we give up on the idea that we can secure everything, then what we need are laws to mitigate the negative effects of it. Now, that said, Brandon, what is your pick for story of the year?
Yeah, well, I think we should at least touch on kind of the enterprise, sort of maybe the world we spend the most in. I think, it's just, on the year, on the Wikipedia page of enterprise software, 2021, I think for sure in the first paragraph is Andy Jassy stepping down as CEO and Slepsky taking over. So I think it's just an important, I think, moment in kind of the history of the cloud, right? Because I think that's sort of just the AWS, for better or for worse. I think, they sort of like the bellwether of it all. But I do think as I kind of exit the year, I think to myself, I know the tagline at AWS is like, it's always day one, but I feel like this year at AWS, especially kind of coming off reInvent, was like, no, it's like a pretty mature enterprise software company. Like, I think it's going to run pretty similar to the way it's been running for a while. I think you're going to see more services, a lot of infrastructure stuff. But I think it has a huge runway to go in front of it and be very successful going forward. But I just don't, I think the idea that, like, it's transformative, I think it's just, if you will, kind of transcended that side of it, right? It's, if you will, it's at the top of the S curve. I just think a lot of sustaining stuff. So I think that's definitely something to be noted. And then the other thing is a little bit, I know, Cote, you probably don't want to comment on it as much, but I do think it's another milestone that VMware is now, after many corporate, structures, stands alone as an independent company. Because I think in this coming year, if you make any predictions, it's like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I just sort of look at it like VMware has all the workloads. It has, like, I think something like 85-90% of the workloads that remain, like, on premise or just, that are being run. And so it'll be interesting to see what becomes of that. Either VMware takes that position and makes itself, even more valuable, or if someone else comes along and says, we think VMware needs to be part of our company for whatever reason. It's almost like a media rights, if you will. Like, it's like, all the workloads are out there now. They're all standalone. Like, what are they worth? And are they worth more to a large company? Are they worth more standalone? So I think those two things, like, kind of stick out.
That would be a great IDC report to estimate the value of workloads. I would.
We need someone in IDC should do that, and then email it to us, and we'll talk about it. But I don't want to do the work. That's too much Excel. No, that's a lot of Excel. Maybe Matt Levine could get on that.
They got to do that up in New England. They could sort that out. Well, so I think I think what I'm going to pick is the Google versus Oracle one, and I think. I forget what the name of this type of thing is, but the events that don't happen are often very significant ones, right? And I remember us talking about this before it was ruled on. And if APIs were copyrightable, that would fuck everything up. I mean, basically, I don't know if one of my ongoing little things to figure out is what the fuck Kubernetes people mean when they say the word API. But if API was copyrightable, oh boy. Things would go nutty in that world, right? Because I think now let's not spend too much time on it. But like Matt Ray, my approximation is that when Kubernetes people say API, they mean shit in a YAML file, right? That's kind of like what they're talking about.
At the end of the day, yes.
So
YAML that gets turned into JSON.
If we could imagine all the trademark, murky, weird power play stuff that happens in open source. But if you added copyright to it, and then you could copyright a YAML file, man, we would get in fights over, like, is this a tab versus a space versus, like, it would just be madness, right? And so, like, I think there are so many things that would branch out of that if an API was copyrightable, that it was extremely significant that it was ruled, at least in the US. I don't know about in the rest of the world. But at least in the U.S., that you can't copyright an API, which is great. So
it's good for the long-term health of enterprise of software.
That's right. And also, like, I think APIs fall the characters and numbers that represent your API are kind of like the Cory Doctorow like fairy tales that Disney goes and like makes a lot of stories out of. They're just like just sort of like in there. Whoever comes up with these fairy tales, you can't really copyright them. They're totally cool, right? Like,
but if it had gone the other way, next year Oracle would sue me when I try to make Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, right?
I mean, if it had gone the other way, we would all wish that we would have invested in Oracle, because that would be an extremely valuable. They would have had Google by the whatever nuts, right? Like it would be crazy. But
the Cooper nuts.
That's right.
All right, stories of the year, fantastic. And if you want to learn more about how to use some of the stuff we talked about, go visit our friends at CBT Nuggets. All right. Boom, boom, boom. As sponsors. It would be interesting. That's like no one would ever want to read it, but it would be interesting counterfactual. Like, okay, that ruling comes down and like what happens? Do we all just spend the next like 2 years just stripping APIs out of existing code? Like, would it just be? I don't know. I don't know.
Or
what
do
would
we just
happen.
get into like some sort of détente where a bunch of lawsuits start to fly, and then people are like, "This is stupid."
Yeah, you're probably right.
Like software patents, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like, I guess it would be one of those things. It'd almost be like, well, you said this, but there's a lot of code, and we don't have time to work on it all, so we're just going to continue on. Like, I guess it would probably be just a lot of lawsuits. I don't know if there would be a lot of like software engineers actually changing stuff, right?
Yeah, they'd wait till they got
But I think there'd be whole conferences on like how to write a copyrightable API, then how to change a copyrighted API enough such that like remember like in school, like if you're going to like read in the encyclopedia and then you're going to use the fact like you have to like kind of rewrite the sentence in such a way that it'd be like a whole like lesson like that. It'd be hell.
Yeah,
you'd have to get the thesaurus and just change every method name to something similar.
No good.
Yeah.
All right. So should we do the next year then questions?
Yeah. I mean, at this point, whatever you want to do, we're good. Now we can go as we got the.
All right.
Yeah. Hold on. I need to write down the ad 41.
All right. Hold on. Let me go.
Right, so what are we doing? Are we doing? Do you want me to? Since I'm more familiar with the questions, do you want me to read the questions?
Yeah. You should definitely do that. I'll be right back.
Okay. Now
you should entertain the streamers.
Now we should take a short interlude with. I thought, Matt, I did think you could have. I guess I should have put next to the note. Like Matt got a new job /serverless /event-based programming. So that was sort of like that was kind of like what the the whole story was going to be. But anyway,
I think my quote for the year is I'm bitter about infrastructure.
That one did pretty well. That episode did pretty well. I'm bitter about infrastructure. Actually, I think several of the trigger mesh ones, when you're talking about trigger mesh, seem to do pretty well. And then there were some more random episodes that just, I don't know why they did well. They just, so I don't know. Maybe people want more trigger mesh. Maybe they want more.
Of course they want more trigger mesh.
Yeah.
This message brought to you by Trigger Mesh.
That's right. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. All right, so you guys aren't on lockdown anymore, right? You're like you said, you're free. You have freedom again, right? Is that
yeah, we have freedom, but it's like, so my son broke his wrist. Yes.
What happened?
Playing basketball. He broke his wrist, and so we had to go to the emergency room. And Friday. And then my other son, we thought he had COVID, but he had strep.
Okay. Well, I mean,
so he's spent a week in lockdown. We got him COVID test, came back negative, and then he sat and hacked in his room for a week, and then we got another COVID test, and we went to the respiratory clinic to get him checked out, and they're like strep, antibiotics, and while we were there, I get notifications that I was exposed to COVID, because I was checked in at the respiratory clinic.
Well, at least the system's working. You got
that. No. They turned it off this week.
Yes.
You don't have to check in places anymore. You don't have to wear a mask. You don't have to check in.
It's like you came home. It's like you came home to Texas, man. It's like you're back.
I know, and the
you're back.
The unvaxxed people are allowed to leave
I'm just saying they wanted a consensual, relationship, or Escalade, and now they're out. Now you have this.
The grandparents want their grandchildren to thrive so they can die.
All right, here let's play a little game before we'll do this just for the streamers as well as everyone. I'm gonna read the episode names, 3 episodes, and one of them is the most downloaded episode of the year. Okay, and I want from the from just the title alone, I want to see who can pick out what was the most exciting one.
This is a little streamer's delight.
Yeah, this is streamer's delight. Don't worry, we won't. And maybe I'll read the description because of it. Okay, is everyone ready?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna start with episode 324. It's called Stockpile EULAs. The description. I guess I wrote the description, so you're stuck with it. This week we discussed the real-world use cases of containers, recap the Google Cloud Nest announcements, and make some Apple predictions, plus some thoughts on how to wash jeans. Okay, everyone got that one? That's EULAs. That's 324. 325. Nothing says enterprise like a function key. This week we discussed Trigger Mesh going open source, the new enterprise Mac, and Honeycomb raising VC. Plus, Matt becomes a TikTok influencer. Okay. And final is 323. Boxes and arrows. This week we discuss AWS step functions, VMware Tanzu Community Edition, and Zoom's M&A strategy. So plus some thoughts on car batteries. So there you have it. You have 3 to pick from. I'll just recap them. The first one was Stockpile EULAs. Second one was Nothing Says Enterprise Like a Function Key. And then finally, Boxes and Arrows. All right, so everyone in the Twitch stream here, please vote. Yeah. Please say what it is.
To give them a few minutes, Brandon, you've been doing a great job titling and naming the episodes. I think everyone should congratulate Brandon.
That's right. Everyone
for all
should.
The work he's done, editing, administering everything, publishing. Matt Ray and I just show up and talk about stuff. Brandon is the one who runs everything.
I literally just try to get my quotes as the titles. That's my job.
Yeah. Okay, they're all in there. So let's see. The John Willis episode. I looked that one up. That one did all right too. That wasn't in the top though. So okay. All right. So everyone, you've got it in there. So let's see. Okay. So we have 1 vote here for enterprise function keys. Who's this? That's from. Can't see that. Rex Roof. All right, Rex. That's good. Anyone else? Matt, why don't you put your answer in the chat? Matt Ray, and then Cote, you can put you're in the chat as well.
Oh, I forgot what they were, but I'm gonna go for.
Well, they're right there. I've written them above them.
Trigger Mesh 1. There you go.
Function keys, Trigger Mesh 1. Okay.
Function key. That is definitely the best. I think that's the title of the year. What was it? Nothing says enterprise like a function key.
All right. Well, there you have it. That is it. Episode. That was the episode. Nothing says enterprise like a function key. That was the most downloaded episode of at least the last 50. It's episode 323.
Wow.
And I don't know, but now if anyone can explain why that was the most downloaded episode, please send me a long form email and a 6-page memo that I can.
You're welcome to become an unpaid intern.
Like I have no idea why, because it's significant too. Like when you look at the graph, it's like way up there at the top. So congratulations. And then I don't know, Cote, I don't know what this means about you. It's just you weren't on that episode for some reason. I don't know why, so I'm sorry.
Makes sense.
I apologize. I don't know why.
I think it must be because people checked on it and they were like, "Oh, this episode's only 45 minutes." So I'm gonna
let's see the link. No, 1 hour 4 minutes. We brought it home that day. I think we really got going that day. So there you go. So if you guys
we're counting downloads, we're not counting listens through.
I don't know. I don't even know how to. I once logged into the actual Apple thing where you could see like how long people listen. Trash. But I was like, this is pointless. This is a waste of time.
Yeah,
this is just random cards.
If you went off the Apple stats, there would be like 5 people who listen to our podcast.
Yeah, it was like it was funny when I logged in at one time. I was like, oh, this is like almost all my actual use of business intelligence is logging in and being like, I don't think any of this data is worth it. I will never log in again. That's what I've done.
Does Spotify have anything good?
we don't get that many people listening in Spotify either.
Okay.
It's not like we're very much like an Overcast and Castro and
I
kind of
think
show.
the only reason we publish the Spotify, one, because we don't have to do anything, but two, there are maybe like 3 people in Slack who listen to it in Spotify, and so like of course,
and we appreciate them.
Yeah, Spotify.
Yeah, no, a few people do. I mean, I know it's like, I think if you're in Spotify and you love it, it's great. It's there. It's just not that many people, which is surprising though. When I think, well, I guess it isn't. This group of people is pretty savvy, so I think I can see why people probably have their own podcast player. All right, well there you go, streamers. If you showed up, you got to play the most downloaded episode. That game was so good. We'll probably never do another one, so don't worry about it. Maybe I'll try to have something better prepared next time. Yeah. That's what Cote said. We should be more interactive, like his coworker said. So you can tell that we tried. And
you're playing from the Layla playbook. Very good.
Like Layla, we're not that good. We're not.
Did you see?
We lost two people.
How many interactions we got?
That.
All sorts of chats.
Like people left. That's what happened. Like I think we went from that. That was perfect. That's exactly what people are like. Oh, there's going to be a test. I'm leaving. That's what. Okay. So. All right. So we can. Okay. What are we doing now? We're going to do questions. What do you want me to do?
What do you want to do? The predictions or questions? You two pick.
Predictions. I thought we were just.
All right. We're gonna go long if we do predictions.
I think we merged like stuff we hated and predictions into the same thing.
Okay, and then we're gonna do questions.
Whatever. Let's just go.
Wait. All right, Cote, give us us a couple like hated predictions, and then somehow segue to me. Don't need to stop, and then I'll do the questions.
All right. How about? Okay, all right. I'll figure it out. So, Matt Ray, I want you to start with our predictions for this year. Now, I'm going to trust you. We got to get to the questions, which I think are going to be great. I want you to keep it brief. And I promise you, both of you, that I will not comment on them, which is what causes them to be very long. So, Matt Ray, for next year. Now, I want to tweak what a prediction is, and I want to call a prediction something that you hope happens, right? Not something that you think will happen, right? Like I don't want no Skynet bullshit, right? so like what is something that is conceivable that would be something that you hope happens that would be nice according to you? It doesn't have to be nice according to humanity. It's just something that like in your realm, your sphere of the world, something that you think probably will happen that you would like.
Well, obviously, I'm going to be biased, and I want to see Knative thrive now that they're out from. Now that the clouds have lifted and it's joining the CNCF. To me, that's something I would like to happen. More adoption, more users. I think looking at our list of predictions, a lot of them are like, I can predict we're going to talk about all these things, but I don't know if they're good or bad. Like. Are we going to talk about more or less Kubernetes for the year? We're probably going to keep talking about the same amount, right? They're going to be the same sorts of projects. The drama that's going to continue. Convergence of databases, sure. Brandon had his interview with the single store.
Correct.
That sounded pretty cool to me.
Well, so what I'm hearing, Matt Ray. And I like your answer. I kind of set myself up here for disappointment where I can't comment. But broader acceptance, de facto standardization of serverless by Knative is what you're going for.
I like it. I like it.
Very good.
That's perfect. That's a very self-serving. I like it, and that's what I like that, and I mean that in a good way.
I'm going to break my rule. You know what, Matt Ray? I agree with you. That would be great. Now, Brandon.
All right, so I have two things. One, this doesn't really go with your question, but one, I just wanted to get in here one more jab at like the piece of content I absolutely hated the most this year was the A16Z cloud repatriation, which word I can still not say, about like Dropbox moving back, and I loathe the fact that was published, and then we did talk about it. I talked about it on several podcasts. Looking back on it,
we keep talking about it,
and we do. And I just want to say. That was by far and away the worst piece of content created this past year. So,
wait. What if I made an NFT of it? Would that be the worst content?
Really, that would if we followed the Matt Levine thing, you made an NFT, but the NFT was you like printing it out and then setting it on fire, as he's been talking about how they do this artwork. That would be the most perfect thing. In fact, should we ever create an NFT, that's the one I want to create. I don't know how to do it. We probably never will do it. So that's really off topic, but I just, I needed to get that in off my chest.
Well, I got lots of worse things.
And then the thing that did not happen this year, but I want to still happen. So I know it won't happen, but I just want to throw it out into the universe. Was like, I was really excited. I wanted Zoom to buy Discord and Box, and I wanted us to have like another Office suite of communication and document sharing tools, and to like compete with, I guess, what is now the Slack, Salesforce behemoth, as well as Microsoft. I just want like one more in there. So
we did get a new plucky underdog to cheer for with Cloudflare, right? With the R2.
True, that was good.
Yeah, we're starting
well.
people are buying into their messaging about, this is the next gen cloud kind of idea where, we're taking the best of just the small pieces. And
no, really good. That's really good. But I just I use Office collaboration in the spirit of just like making it about yourself. Like I just use Office collaboration products all the time. And so it's like, I don't use Cloudflare all the time, even though it's good, or I use it indirectly. But I just like, Zoombox, Zoombox, Discord kind of thing. I hope something reemerges and like out of the ashes, because they didn't buy that. Zoom was unable to buy that. What was it? Call center company. So maybe they can repurpose the funds to like put together a viable competitor to like Teams and like I said, Salesforce.
They could buy Box and then unrepatriate them.
Yeah. Oh, even better. That would be especially great for me.
Well,
Cote,
so
go ahead.
I think next year, all this crypto stuff is going to be bullshit. I think some. I mean, it is. I haven't even read the O'Reilly thing, which everyone says is great, but I just think like, I mean, it's one of these things where you're just like, what I've learned. How old am I going to be? I was born in 1977. 2022. What is 2022 minus 1977? Is 45. That 45? Yeah. So, like, I'm going to be 45 in like under 10 days. And I feel like I have learned that when you have a sustained confusion about why something is popular and interesting, what it pretty much confirms is that it's bullshit. And so, like, I don't think anyone understands what like crypto stuff is. And the ongoing commentary from Matt Levine and other people is just sort of like, what is it? What's my favorite way that he will write, Brandon? He'll just be like, I guess so. He doesn't.
Yeah, just be like, well, I don't know, right? Yeah, like this isn't, But that's after like a long 17 paragraphs of like outlining all the problems. Somebody's like, but GameStop's making a lot of money. That stuff like that, meme stocks, whatever.
And so I think at some point we'll all be like, oh right, that was a bunch of bullshit, and it'll just be over. I think that's going to happen this year. 2020.
Well, maybe we should say I have like a personal thing I'm trying to, as we go into next year, is to, I guess I really adopt, I guess, as an educated skeptic mindset. It's like so much of it, I am so incredibly skeptical of all of it. But at the same time, sometimes out of these technology trends, eventually something emerges, right? And often something that's completely different than like what people are talking about. So it's like kind of keeping an open mind to like, does all of this technology sort of like uncover something new that's not maybe related to like the way it's talked about today? Like, because that, I think if we think back our careers, something like that does often happen. Like the web sort of birthed social media for good or for bad, or for all these things that we didn't anticipate, right? And I just think sometimes things just need to bake for a lot longer than we want, or maybe we think, right? And that starts to open up possibilities. So this idea of like, broadly speaking, of distributed trust, it's like, it's interesting. I don't know if anything I see right now is like the right use of it, but like it could come up, like it could be interesting at some point.
Or maybe this is just going to teach us all to be a little more critical of scams. Maybe that's the lesson we'll all learn. Is like, FOMO is not a good thing, and maybe you should have a little more skepticism. But you know what? That's the problem. Is every time I feel a little bit of FOMO, I'm like, there's a lot of people investing in things that I consider scammy, and there were a lot of people investing in mortgage-backed securities.
Yeah, no, and I think you're hitting on right this idea that like the what do they call it? Like investment people call it like euphoria, right? Like there are many examples of like this euphoria that takes over and like something that's new, right? And there are like 1,000 examples, like of course like where Cote lives, we're required to talk about tulips, and then there are beanie babies here in the United States, and like millions of other things. So like I think that's always the counter to the FOMO, is to be like, hey, you may be missing out, but a lot of these things at the same time turn out to be just fads and potentially huge financial losses. But at the same time, like on the technology side, like take a tulip and a beanie baby, like there was nothing like new about that technological from a technology perspective. Whereas like, okay, like distributed trust is like, that is an interesting idea.
Yeah.
In the fact that like, putting aside how it's used, it's like that's an interesting math problem someone solved, and that potentially down the road we may be like, this other thing is really useful for it.
And I like the idea of some of the Ethereum stuff about, you know, being able to distribute compute and, you know, charge and stuff for it. But as a unit of currency, it is, I think I saw that it is currently 325 times more expensive than a Raspberry Pi for the same amount of compute.
That's right. So, all right. Well, listen, that's a lot about
things that we're going to continue to bitch about.
But I was going to say, let's finally put this show in the hands of the people that mean the most, the listeners. We've got a bunch of listener questions here. We always like to do this.
You've collected them, Brandon.
Yeah, I've got them here.
Why don't you go through them?
I will take us through them, and we'll try to get to every conceivable question. And for those of actually here live today, if you throw some questions in the Slack, we'll make sure to answer those as well. So, all right. So Brian from Austin asks, and we'll start with you, Cote. What was your favorite story told by a host other than yourself from 2021?
Oh, I think my favorite story was anything related to Matt Ray's dog chewing things up. I think those are always adorable, right? Like you have the dog just like get something and he has to go up
a menace
and find what it is. And you know, there's two things. It is one, super cute, right? To have like a little puppy just like chewing things up. And then also, you know, like I have a dog, and my dog drives me fucking crazy. And so it's also nice to like, you know, I don't know what the psychological thing is, but it's
commiserate.
Sort of like, yeah. It's sort of like, yep, dogs are fucking crazy, aren't they? And so that's it. I love
dogs. All right, Matt, your favorite story or stories told by someone other than yourself.
Well, I do like the parallel stories of Cote in a new country, and you know the way things work in Amsterdam versus the way things work in Australia, where, you know, the fish out of water stories are always entertaining. You know, because we're both in countries that have a more paternalistic bent than the U.S. And seeing how that comes and goes is always entertaining.
Yeah. No, I think those are good. Yeah, I was just going to say, so you kind of took a Cote. I think it wasn't actually, I don't know if it made the actual full show. It made a little bit of the after show, but clearly Matt's dog eating glue kind of live on air was like the funniest thing that I still, even as I'm thinking about it, it was
eating
so funny.
Like super glue or something like that.
Yeah, like you have to like go back and actually, I don't even know if we were streaming it. I think it was like, anyway, I got a little bit of an after show. It was so funny because just to see Matt like, just to snap into full dad mode, like, hey, did you take it away? Because again, just anyway, I can't recreate it.
I forgot about that. That was hilarious.
It's just so good. I can't recreate it. So go listen to it. And then I really liked, you know, Cote. I think you had some good story about the house shoes. I thought that was very good. And I will say, probably, I'll just speak for the listeners here. I think the things that we often get a lot of comments on is they enjoy Cote's interpretation of I'm just going to say Europe at all overall. Oftentimes people writing in for stickers will reference something about Cote in Europe and whatever. So anyway, so those are good. All right.
Yeah. Huh.
Moving on, I'm going to go to Sean here. Sean asks, what are your favorite memories or moments from running the podcast? And Matt, we'll start with you.
I actually enjoy the kind of weird community that our Slack has become. where it's we've got. I like to drop in, read the conversations from folks. We've got the thread, which will never die. It pauses from time to time, but then it picks up steam again, and we've got 6,000 or 7,000 messages in there. I enjoy the Slack. That's always
all right. That's good. And Cote, what any favorite moments that either listeners have shared or you yourself? What is your favorite moment from the podcast?
From this year, I mean, I think.
Well, you could probably there's no grading here. You could probably just call upon anything in the last several years.
What I have liked this year, very specific, is I have noticed, and maybe I'm wrong, and I apologize if I am, but I've noticed that Brian Gracely has started writing a lot more in the Slack. And every time he writes something or comments in there, I pay very close attention to it because it's, I don't know, I like that guy's deal. So it's, I like that he has more involvement and he's more vocal. So I'm into that.
You're into it? Good. Well, listen, if you want more Gracely, you should get in the sports Slack channel. Not your thing.
I have enjoyed the sports channel.
I was going to say, not your code. Not very, very small community of sports and tech that overlap, but Brian is even more active in that one.
Yeah, so that is our jam.
All right. I get all the sports and podcasts I can take from election profit makers, and they talk about
there you go.
North Carolina sports every now and then. And
that's good. That's
all
perfect.
I need.
I'll just quickly answer. I say one, I've really enjoyed since the beginning. Getting stickers, getting these requests from all over the world. I think we've got 6 continents, and so it's always amazing to me because it just reminds me the size of the internet. It's wow, it's great to hear from so many people all over. And then I think just a favorite moment, I think it was fairly early on. I was at a conference, as the podcast was maybe doing a little bit better, and this gentleman came up to me and he just said hey, I really enjoy your podcast. I listen to it while I walk my dog. And I was oh, that's great. I just always thought that was a great moment. It was because that's how I listen to a lot of podcasts, not walking a dog. I don't have one, but just doing other things. And I always thought that's just a sign of success. So I really enjoyed I love when people say that, I do my dishes, or I mean, there's just been so many things people have told me that they do, and they're always mundane tasks. And I'm always great. I'm glad we're there for you. So those are really good ones. All right. This one, I think maybe we told the story before, but it's been a while. We'll just say Cote, we'll start with you. How did we all meet? You can probably answer that question.
How did we all meet? We met, let's see. I met Matt Ray at Funds Express in 99.
99. Yeah.
Yeah. And I still didn't really know him. And then I got to know him better when we were at Coral because there were only so many of us. And then we met you, Brandon, when we were at BMC, which I think I was the last one of our group of friends back then to join. I forget. And
it might have been me.
That's how we.
But yeah. Cote and I shared an office. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems we should have some more exciting story. We all just work together early on. I mean, it's
So my first job out of college, I went to work for literally mom and pop software company, and 2 weeks into that job, they had to shut down the company.
You know what we should do? Let me rephrase this question. We should find out what is the common connection between the three of us. Right? I was at Funds Express because I was in high school with the CEO's son, right? And the CEO's son of it was called Mesa back then. He was hey, these high school kids, they're fucking cheap. I don't know if he thought that, but that was the truth, right? And so he asked around for the teachers at our high school, who are some programmers or people who know computers. And so I was brought into that because because the teachers knew me. And so I was brought into Funds Express. Now, Matt Ray, how did you get into Funds Express?
So the mom and pop software company, I was employee number one. And after 2 weeks, a large calculator company stole all their IP and released competing product, and they were we can't compete anymore, and gave me my my notice, my 2 weeks out of school's job. And I called up my friend Matt Kimman, and he got me an interview later that afternoon at Funds Express. He had a good end because his sister-in-law was the head of HR, and I think I had a
That's
job
right.
I think I had a
Okay.
job on Monday.
Uh-huh.
And so I ended up at Funds Express with the Mesa crew, and then
Okay,
we all
okay. So Matt Kinman's sister-in-law. That's how you and I are connected.
yeah. I mean, definitely.
And
Yeah, then I guess
then
just to bring it home would be I, through a different strand, worked at a startup. Evity was acquired by BMC. So it would be whichever one of you were hired first at BMC, and then whoever either
Wasn't it Matt?
recommended you or
I thought it
recruited
was
you
you.
in.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, so I don't know. Maybe Matt Kinman was the one that maybe he was there. Maybe he was the one that recommended one of you or both of you to work there. I don't know.
I do not remember. Yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure it was
'cause
Kinman.
I went to another company after Coral went under that did retail point of sales, and I won firefighter of the quarter 2 quarters in a row, and then I was like, I got to get out of here.
Wow. Well, talk about pre-DevOps thing. Like,
yeah.
now hold. What Cloby was at Funds Express, right?
Don't know.
I don't know.
Huh.
But I maybe just curtail it off because we're probably like down a rabbit hole here. It's a little bit. It's just like, so probably the three of us definitely met there, worked a lot together. And then Cote and everyone, like a lot of these conversations we were just having the hallway, quote unquote hallway. And then eventually that led to, I think Cote had started many podcasts, was starting a podcast, running a blog. And so from that sort of kind of just evolved into like what you have now. So there you go. So you're very lucky.
Can I tell like one of the major epiphanies of my professional life that you gave me, Brandon?
All right,
I'll be
right
very
ahead.
brief. I remember we were in a very dark room with no windows in the BMC Austin building. And you were talking, I'm going to anonymize all of this, but you were talking about like we need these 3 groups of these roles of types of people who have permissions. And I was like, this is crazy. Why are we going to hard code these types of groups? And you said, well, so-and-so company gives us a lot of money, so we are going to add this feature. And I don't know how I reacted. Maybe you remember, but my history is I thought like, oh, right, I get it. And that I think is the day that I understood what product management is.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
Welcome to enterprise software. I do remember. I don't remember that specific occasion. I do remember that. I'll just say, because who knows? The NDAs have probably long since expired. But we'll just say it was a large telecom that wanted that.
Yeah,
and that's why we did that.
I thought I was going to get your epiphany, Cote, because Cote and I shared an office, and he was blogging and doing a little bit of podcasting, like independently. And we were talking one day, and Cote was like, "These Redmond folks have made me an offer to become an analyst, and I don't know, should I keep being a developer or should I be an analyst?" And I think I told Cote he wasn't a very good developer, but he'd be a great analyst.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, that's a whole nother story. Then we all had to talk to Cote's wife, and it was a joint effort. It took a village to get Cote that job. But that's a little too personal.
That's probably getting
that's a lot of history, and we won't get into that. All right, here, let's I'll start with this question, and you guys can think of an answer. I just want to say, somebody said, do we have a couple favorite episodes over the years? I just, I personally, maybe because I just like, maybe it's the most pre-work I've ever done for an episode. I really enjoyed the AWS, the Working Backwards. We reviewed that book. Like it was good for me. I guess it's sort of like, it's just like doing a book club, but I feel like it actually really helped me because I work with a lot of people from AWS at AWS. And so it's like reading that and then having to have a discussion about it, like just like really made me feel like, as much as you can like understand AWS without working there, I personally took a lot from that. That actually helped me. So I don't know if everyone else enjoyed that one. Maybe it was like too detailed, but like I took a lot from that. So Matt, is there any episode that sticks out in your mind as being especially good?
That one was, I think because, we had a rather engaging conversation where I think I started as liking it and you guys came down hard on it. And by the end we were all like dogpiling. Usually I pretty much enjoy all the episodes, and I like looking back through the titles and, just thinking like, what were we talking about? That was good. What were we talking about? That was good. So they all stand out.
All right, they all stand out. Cote, anything specifically jump to your mind?
Well, I would not have thought of that one, but yeah, I think about that book a lot, and I think us talking about it in that episode is good. I think I'm going to cheat and say that I think I forget what we called them, but like those episodes that you and I, Brandon, did where we like went over press releases
Exegesis
and
a
stuff.
while back. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like those. Those were
All right. Well, they're all in the back catalog.
We need more deep
those were
dives.
good.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do that in the new year. Okay. Well, we're definitely into navel gazing this episode, so I think we'll take this one because other people ask this stuff on other podcasts, and I like it. So there'll probably be a niche, but I think Brian asks, how many hours per episode does it take to plan, edit, and upload? And he wants to, can you break it down on time for the main steps? So okay, let's we'll show our full-on podcast pipeline here. So I would say for a typical episode, so like at the end of recording, we in the Slack channel, if you're part of the Slack channel, you've probably seen it. We have a whole channel dedicated to just topics. It's called SDT. I'll say that again. It's called SDT Topics Backlog. And then just throughout, from the moment we publish, anyone can put suggested, usually it's articles or links of things that they think are interesting from the week. So that's sort of, if you will, becomes like all of the links that are eventually show up in the episode show notes. And then from that, usually I will do this on like Wednesday, my time is I'll put together kind of a list of all the links and I'll create like kind of a very rudimentary outline of like, hey, here are the things that I think are interesting to talk down. We'll throw that in like the rundown. So if you see that in the show notes, you can actually see those are the things that we often ended up talking about. And they're usually the rundown is longer than the things that we can talk about. I usually always do the following. It's like, I'm not sure there's a lot to talk about this week. And then we actually start talking. And it's like, wow, there's too many things. It's almost always happens. So we record hopefully every Thursday, around 3:30 Central. Then we record using Audio Hijack and the Rodecaster Pro, and then more recently using Restream. So we'll have a couple different versions of the recording as backup. That'll all happens live, and then I will then take it usually right afterwards and probably spend like another hour and a half, depending on how long it was, and quickly edit it together. So, and when I edit it, I use Hindenburg. And then I put chapter markers in it because I like it. I like chapter markers. So I think only a few people really use them, is from what I can tell, but I really like it. It makes it easy.
I use them.
Okay. It makes it easy for me to navigate the episode later on. Like if I want to know what's going on. And then if all goes well, I'll be done maybe about like 5 p.m. my time. And then the episode publishes Thursday Thursday. No, I guess it's early Friday morning. So yeah, early Friday morning for the US, 12:30 a.m., which is like 7:30 a.m. for Europe, and then sometime in the afternoon for Australia. And then that's pretty much it. And then if it all goes well, then we'll do it all again. And then a couple other things. I will usually like grab some show art because I like to see different like things like different pictures on the episode. So usually every episode will have its own show art, which I just get honestly from Upsplash, I think it is, or Unsplash, whatever. They have a lot of free stuff. So I think that's it. What I miss? Anything else about publishing a podcast that people care about?
Did you put the LinkedIn and Twitter?
Oh yeah. Then when I usually like let it sit overnight, and then you can't automate it, but I try to like write. I just think it's more interesting if you like write the Twitter, LinkedIn updates. So I'll usually do those Friday morning my time.
And then how about the business side? How much time do you spend on like the like sales, ad copy? Trying to remind me to record something.
Yeah, that's true. I guess there's a few other things to just write. We do sell ads. We do some sponsored interviews. Hopefully everyone's heard all that stuff. So depending on what it is, that's just sort of like ad hoc. I wouldn't say we have like outbound sales, but people email us. We do have a whole rate card and a little presentation that, and I work a little bit with the marketing people. So that's probably, I don't know. It just depends. Maybe like an hour a week and then sometimes more, depending on like if we're just setting up a sponsor for the first time. And then like, I don't know if people care about this time, like people that sponsor us, usually only a few times have we actually gotten like a real like script. All the advertisers are usually very like, they just like to send bullets. So like I'll usually write a first draft of the script, and then I'll make Matt and Cote record it. And then when they've recorded it, they'll usually edit the script either because something was just wrong, like a typo, or they'll kind of put their own spin on it, which is what we want. So, and then, they'll send me their ad reads. And then, I have to then consult with the sound design team. I'm kidding, of course. Like I just pick out some sound effects that I think go with the ad, and then I put all that together. So I think, all right. I think that's, did I miss anything else? Anything else?
No,
podcast
you
people?
got it.
That's a lot. It's probably a lot for people. If you're into, and then I should say this, we do have other people that are interested in creating podcasts. Some of them more successful, like Brian Gracely, Cote mentioned, and other people just getting going. So there's a whole podcast production channel. If you're really interested in this, in the Slack, you can go in there and like people trade ideas all the time and tools and stuff like that. And of course, there's like plenty of stuff on the internet, like people, all the NPR stuff, like those are the people that know how to make audio the best. But like if you want to ask just like general questions, that's always a good channel. So all right.
I think in summary, Brandon does a lot of work, which Matt and I are very grateful for. Like,
no, but it's fun. Like I think editing, like people have asked this question, like, should you start a podcast? My answer is like, yeah, like everyone should. Like it's always, people are always like, there's too many podcasts or there's too many things. I'm like, no, man, it's like plenty of people are looking for stuff to listen to and stuff like that. I know, Matt, you've got one for your company, and Cote, you've got some, I don't know, cultural podcast, let's call it. And then we've got our friends at the hallway track. It's like, I don't know, man. I just think everyone put them out there. It's like, not everyone will listen, of course, but I think it's pretty good. So, all right, that was a lot on podcasts. So now we'll get to probably, one of the most important questions. Cote, it's just for you. Matt, if you have something you want to chime in on it, you can, but I'll start it for you here, Cote. Which occasions are the ones that you choose to sport your red trousers? Do you see your personal style diverging in opposite direction from Tasty Meets Paul? Is this intentional? So talk to us. And I guess if you haven't seen it, Cote does have some fine red trousers that he wears, I guess in pre-COVID times. But go ahead, Cote.
Well, this is two questions, which I enjoy. So when do I wear the red trousers? Well, there are two times. One, when all my other pants are dirty in my person. I should say all the pants that will fit, and I'll wear them. Now, I don't really like the red trousers because they have a button fly. And they have a button fly of three things, which, like, I like to, being a male or whatever, I can pee standing up. So when I pee, I like to hold my phone so I don't waste the time so I can read some stuff. So you got to have a zipper, right? But if you, like, you can do, like, one-handed with the zipper and hold your phone and do stuff. But if you've got a button fly, not going to happen, right? And so you can't look at your phone if you've got a button fly. So I actually don't like button fly pants. However, I will wear the red pants if, like, there's nothing else in the drawer that I don't like wearing more. Now, I also will wear the red pants, like, I guess if I was going to be honest, which is what this question is asking, I wear them when I am going to a conference where I'm excited and relaxed to talk at that event, right? And so, like the time that I remember,
some signaling there.
There are major times. I mean, not major. One thing that pops to mind, and there may be many others, is I remember at the Spring One platform conference we had in Austin, where I had a presentation that I gave with Rick Clark, who's become a nice friend of mine at Pivotal and VMware. I remember I wore red pants then when I was presenting because I was interested in that presentation. Rick and I had worked on it. I was going to have fun, and I was also super relaxed about it, right? So it was like I was in my element. So I wore the pants, and it was great. I had a good time. So that's when I wear the, as our English person submitted the question, red trousers.
That's right, trousers. Well, I think that's good, Cote. You've kind of given off a little tell then. I think people can kind of maybe, from your wardrobe, they can maybe get a sense of how excited you are about your given presentation. So it's good. All right, well, look good. Good to know. I do not have any red trousers, so I can't say I can participate. All right, a couple more questions, then we'll wrap up here. So Matt, maybe we can start with you. This question is, if you wanted to build a startup nowadays, what would it be?
Whew. I
feel like I was giving you a layup there, Matt. Just saying.
Yeah, well, no. The question is like, what is interesting to you versus what's like a slam.
Yeah, what would you do for corporation? I think you can answer either way.
I mean, if I just wanted to make a bunch of money, it would be software supply chain, right? Just the security. you see these valuations of like $8 billion and, people raising, hundreds of millions of dollars. It's like, that's because it's a huge problem. And, I appreciate that, but to me, it's not the most interesting personally. So my interests are definitely down in the serverless and edge space. I find that stuff all very intriguing. Maybe I'm quite happy at Trigger Mesh. I think some of the WebAssembly stuff is really intriguing. That's I don't know if there's a lot of money to be made though. That's the problem. It's like if you're trying to make money, go do yourself some data warehousing.
I think that's the way to answer the question, right? Yeah, no, I think you're right, though. I think there's kind of what you're interested in versus like what you can make money. So I think that's very, very fine answers. Cote,
yeah.
What about you?
I think Matt's onto something where it is. It would be fun to have a startup or some work around a new way of programming. Like that would ultimately be interesting, right? And I think like serverless stuff is an intriguing new way of programming things. And so whatever that might be, just a new way of coding would be interesting.
New way of coding, I like it. All right, always good. All right, I'd probably answer it kind of slightly different. Say, I'm like just interested in kind of like, I think a lot about digital transformation, but the stuff that's always interested me is like kind of the physical world, and then how does technology make just things simpler? Whether it's just like, ordering ahead of time at like Sonic or checking in for for American Airlines and things like that. So I'm always just really interested. Like there's other stuff that very old school, like Dodgeball and Foursquare, that I thought were really interesting about like, how to do things with technology that sort of involved the real world. So like if I was to do something, I would probably like to explore that area. But it's super, as we were talking about other things, it's like those ideas are either like massively successful or just, they don't go anywhere. So that's probably, but it's the stuff I kind of think about when I just like use technology, whether I'm like checking in a doctor's office, like what do I have to do on paper versus what I can do on the phone. I'm just always thinking about that. So I like that area. I would probably try to explore that area more, but we'll see. All right. Final question for me, and this is a perfect segue. Is the question comes from? No, I'm not sure how to say the last one. I think, is it Jan or Jan? I can't remember. Anyway, Jan. So I apologize for saying your name wrong. He or she asked, like, is Brandon planning couch surfing trip around the world with all the physical addresses I have accumulated for stickers? And the answer is no, I am not going to couch surf, but I have greatly enjoyed getting all of the various addresses. It's been fun to see how many people and how many different places people listens. And that kind of takes us right into this week. I did send some stickers to Marsin, I think, in Wales, where, of course, this is something I had to learn, Cote. I unfortunately cannot remember if Wales was like, is it its own country or is it the UK?
Boy.
So I did learn, I believe I learned correctly, like it is absolutely its own country. So therefore, when I'm addressing the sticker, all I had to write was Wales. I didn't have to write the UK underneath it. So, so don't worry. I think I can mail things everywhere pretty much now. And if not, even if you send me an address, I'll figure it out. So if you would like a sticker, all you have to do is send your postal address to stickers@softwaredefinedtalk.com. And I will be happy to send you a sticker anywhere in the world. And with that, Cote, do we have any upcoming conferences that we should talk about?
Well, there's quite a few. Now, as I mentioned, at some point, there are like crazy COVID things going on here in the Netherlands, but hopefully that will resolve, and or the fact that I'm a resident here and a citizen of the U.S. will still allow me to go to that conference, which is going to be in Round Rock, which might as well be Austin. Have you ever seen the Round Rock, Brandon?
Is there an actual rock? I know I have. Like, what are we talking about? No, I didn't even know that.
Someone took me to see it, and it's actually half of a sphere. It used to be a round rock, and it's kind of round on the bottom. I should go see it again, but because this was a long time ago. But my dad lived in Georgetown, so I went to Round Rock a lot, and I remember at one point going to see the Round Rock, and I don't know, it seemed pretty cool. Like, when do you get to see that? Anyways, so that conference is going to be in Round Rock, January 17th to 20th of 2022.
That's right.
And I will be there giving a talk. Brandon will be there with me doing a live recording of this episode of Software Defined Talk. And it'll be nice. Now, we have all sorts of discounts codes. If you want to go softwaredefinedtalk.com/336, we have 3 different discount codes for the type of conference that you want to go to. Now, also, there's DevOps Day Chicago that it has a call for papers opened. It's going to be May 10th and 11th, and the CFP closes at the end of January. Also, there's DevOps Days Birmingham, Alabama. There's also I think this is part of Britain, definitely not Wales, but Birmingham, UK, that also exists, but this is not that. And that call for papers is open until January 31st, 2022. Wouldn't it be funny if they were like January 30th because they want to be slightly different? Anyways, that conference is in April, but you should go check those out, submit some papers. It'll be really nice to be able to go to conferences in person, I hope, and hang out with each other. So we got a bunch of conferences there. You can go to softwaredefinedtalk.com/336 to see all of them. And with that, Brandon, what do you have to recommend this episode?
So my recommendation, I think it's end of year, and there's a lot of wrap-up shows like this one. But one of the things I've used a lot this year, and I would say like most recently, I think it's maybe the best application of artificial intelligence that like touches me, I think all the time is, I don't know what to call it. I think it's the Apple photo widget, essentially, on your iPhone or whatever. And you have, it just sort of like figures out like what photos and will either create little stories or just kind of show you like a photo of the day. And like, obviously unlike some of the other platforms, like all of this stuff stays local on your devices. And I will say like, it's so much of times I think we talk about technology, like taking away from mental health, but like, I don't know. I just like, it surfaces like great pictures of my family, great pictures of events that we've all done. Like, just like, it's just like a very, if you will, I won't say it's like a yoga or anything. It's just sort of like, it can give you just a moment of like relaxation, just seeing a good photo that's in your library. And I don't know how it does it. Like, it just sort of like, it picks out really good ones. So I'm sure it's all artificial intelligence and machine learning, but like whoever's in charge of it has done a good job. And I am not someone that really likes a lot of widgets in general, but like that one is definitely worth it. So if you haven't enabled it or you don't have it like available on your Mac or your iPhone or iPad or whatever, I'd recommend it. Like I said, it's like, I think we can all enjoy like a few moments, if you will, of peaceful, fond memories. And I think that's what it's really good at. So check out the Apple photo widget.
I think that's a great recommendation. And I agree. The only thing I would say is that, when it makes like the film or whatever that you click on, I always want to like click on the thing that it's showing me, the photo, and like go to that photo in the context.
Oh, it doesn't
like,
make it. Yeah.
And it doesn't do that. And it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Right. Because
it's a good point.
I want to be like, I love this photo. I want to like favorite it or something.
Yeah. Star it or love it. Yeah. A good point.
Yeah. But however, I agree completely. All right. Well, my recommendation is, so, over here in Europe, one of the things I was looking forward to is I can appreciate all sorts of French wine and other things. And so I think I have finally discovered, now, not the exact like bottle and vintage, but I've discovered the type of wine that both my wife Kim and I like. And that is, we like a Merlot Cabernet mix. And here's a bottle that we have discovered that we really like. And it is I'm showing it here. It is the Chateau Fleur Pereirae. Now, I took French for a couple of years in high school, and I cannot pronounce French, but it is a very good mix. Like, it's kind of subtle, right? And it also has like slight woody or oaky taste to it, but it's right there in the pocket, right? It's not too. Now, is in the pocket, is that a sports term, Brandon?
I think so. I think we can go with it. Yeah. Yeah. It's football. Right. Yeah. Right in the pocket.
So it's not too smooth, right? And it's not too harsh. It's right there. And so like, find yourself wherever you may be, whether you're in like Australia, South Africa, America, Europe, Asia, I don't know. Find yourself a Merlot Cabernet blend and just explore that. And you can find like, I don't want to call it mellow, but I want to call it like the perfect kind of like sort of like flavor to have that you might want to have. And this vintage or whatever it is that the vineyard that we have, that's what we like. But you should try that out. So as always, this has been Software Defined Talk. Now, you might have noticed that Matt had to drop off, and he didn't give a recommendation. So he left one word for his recommendation, which I think summarizes the past 2 years of our life. His recommendation, and I would like to note, now, Brandon, can you take note of this? That
I'm noting.
We often do not leave a period or any punctuation at the end of our. It says bullet point, Brandon, space, Apple photo widget. There is no punctuation there. Now, I used to go in when I edited the podcast, which I am totally grateful that you do. Yep. I say thank you after we record every single time, right?
It's true. Can confirm. Yep.
I would go in and fucking add a period to that because it would drive me crazy. So, anyways, Matt has left without a period after it. I think a fantastic summary of the past 2 years. Hades. That's his recommendation for this episode. So
we'll get him to explain it later. I don't know what it means either, but okay, yeah, sure. Recommend it.
I think we can join him in summarizing the last 2 years and say, fuck that shit. Hades can go fuck himself, right? Like, we do not enjoy that. And if you want to see the show notes, you can go to softwaredefinedtalk.com/336. And with that, we'll see everyone next time. Bye-bye.
I love it. Hades. That's perfect. That's just well now. Okay, so let's do you need to go, Cote, or do you have to run?
No, I'm fine.
We'll just hang on here to stream. So a couple things. One, we didn't get to it. The question, just for all the streamers, we didn't completely finish our homework on slide of the year. So Cote, maybe in one of the earlier episodes, maybe in January sometime, I had a couple ideas. Wasn't able to dig it up. So maybe we'll do a slide of the year segment in 2022, I guess. Right?
I do not remember any slides. I tried to go look this up.
All right.
And look it up, but I don't remember.
All right. Slides. Well, if we find, so then I won't promise it. I'll be like, if we do find the slides that we think were good, we'll talk about them there. All right. Now let's talk about a really important subject here. So grammar. Okay. So one, in markup, because of what's his name? What's his face that created markup over in the Apple guy, right? So it's like, so in the headers, right, it is illegal in markup to put a colon at the end of like a list, right? Like it gives you the red squiggly thing, right?
Huh, okay.
And I looked into this. They say it's unnecessary because it's implied. But I think when you make a list, it's like list colon dot, right? Okay. Yeah. So now my question, without that colon, maybe this. So let's just take our recommendation stuff here. It's like, we'll just take the first one, Brandon colon Apple widget. Like, so what you're saying is there should be a period there, and that is a sentence. Brandon, I guess subject colon noun. Period. Is that a sentence? Because I didn't think it was a sentence.
Hold on.
I didn't think that's why I didn't think there's a period there.
I mean, I see where you're going, Brandon. This is fine, right? And like, so,
I legitimately don't know. Like, this is an area where like I would not do well at. Like, I don't know. I mean, but so go ahead.
All right. Let me give you a bunch of disclaimers before I give you my answer. One.
Okay.
Like, I only have a minor in English. I only needed like a 3.
I have no degrees in English. Keep going.
I only needed one more class, right?
Okay.
However, it was going to be one of those seminar classes where you had to like sit for a full semester with a bunch of people and talk about shit. And I had done that so many times, I was like, fuck this shit. I am sick and goddamn tired of hearing what other people have to say, right? Like, I was done, right? And so that's
like,
why
I'm done.
I switched to
okay. All right. So, that's fine.
I don't know. I only have a minor. Now, that said, the way you ask the question like reveals the flaw in the question, which is we do not need to compose a full sentence for a bullet point, right? Like,
right, correct.
The other thing of a period is a terminator, right? Like, which is not to say like I'll be back or whatever, but it ends the thing, right? And so like when you have a bullet point, you put a period at the end because it's like this bullet point is done. Right? Like,
right.
It's just done. Now, one could say, but doesn't the next bullet point or ending the bullet point list imply that that's true, right? So you can actually, it is acceptable style to have bullet points with no period at the end. So I just prefer that when you have bullet points, you end it with a period or a question mark, right?
Okay.
That's what I like. It just feels like, and again, this is all just like aesthetics and personal.
Well, it's like Oxford comma, right? It's like being explicit,
yeah.
right?
Exactly.
It's like you're being explicit. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay.
I also like, I always forget which the Oxford comma is that you have one before and, right?
Before the and, right? You like that.
You're totally into
that. See, I'm not. I'm really not. I don't ever use the Oxford comma. Like if I used it, it was an error. It was by accident. Like I mistyped something.
Now let me ask you this: where do you stand on period or punctuation inside a quotation mark?
You see, I believe that. I guess my natural belief is that if you're finishing a quote and that's the end of the sentence, that I would prefer if you put the quote, like to signify the quotation is done, and then the period after the quote, right?
Ooh,
which I understand is not right. Like no one agrees with that.
That's what programmers like.
And
programmers
the
love
style, or I guess it's not even a style. I mean, I think it's just grammatically incorrect. Is what I don't know who actually legislates the English language anymore, but like as I understand it, that is grammatic. But every time I have to end, because if there's not a period at the end of the quote, like you're always like, well, like I feel like I'm changing the quote, because I'm like, it's like a pull quote, but like that's the end of my sentence. So therefore, to answer your question, I guess I just do what the people tell me that you do, quote. If that's the end of my sentence, I do period, then I put quotation. Now, is there another form of this that I can do?
No, that's the only correct thing to do.
But is there another? You seem to, your question seemed to imply there was some other thoughts going on there.
I think computer people really like putting the period outside of the quotation mark, right? Like I think that is a thing among,
because it feels more correct though. It's like they didn't say the period. Like like you were saying that, but it's definitely no one that is in the realm of like copy editing believes that's correct. No one's ever said to me like, oh, that's fine. But but you're kind of expressing what I think is interesting because I'm gonna say, your English training is like more sophisticated. And I think when you get kind of your level, like you're kind of expressing like, hey, I use language to express myself, and the punctuation, I'm going to use it in a way that best expresses my thoughts. I don't care. And therefore, like you're at the level where like you feel like I will make it work for my thoughts and my expression, separate from like, let's say,
that's
high school or freshman English, where they're like, that's wrong. That's a comma splice, or that's a run-on sentence, or that's a, So I think, it's like, I'm still at kind of more the level, like I try to like color within the lines, and that's sort of like, and so that's kind of actually the thing here. It's like, I don't know. I don't remember like people telling me like I needed a period at the end of my bullet. They were like, I'd only do it if it was a sentence, but as I recall, there was no points off in English for that. I don't, maybe there were.
So you see, Rex Roof here, he has expressed the completely logical, and I totally accept his position, right? That if there is a, let's see, because it started before the parents. Yeah, so if you, this is where it gets complicated, right? Like if you were to say, and then I heard the person say, quote, and I've even let's see if the streamers can figure out my punctuation mess up there. I've even heard the person say, quote, I don't know where to put the period in a quotation, close quote, period, right? And so like, I get that if you thought like this is a whole sentence, right? And there's a quotation within the sentence. There's a narrator who is saying the sentence with a quotation in it. And therefore, when the sentence terminates, the period belongs to the narrator, not the person being quoted. I can feel that. That makes sense.
Right. Okay.
However, I'm still going to put the period inside the fucking quote.
Well, what I've read, though, I actually did spend some time wondering, but people said, and I understand the other argument is just sort of like aesthetically, this is the way, it's just more readable.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, it's sort of like a coding standard at that point. It's like, hey, if it's a lot more readable this way, then that's the way and I guess that's where, so to Rex's point, it's like, I mean, I'm with Rex, but like that's going to give us in our freshman English, like we're not going to do as well. Like we're going to get a couple points off for that, right? They're going to be like, oh, you did it wrong. So
yeah.
Well, this has been riveting. We finally have gotten to the important issues after all year. So I appreciate it. Well, listen, thanks to everyone that came in and asked questions and hung out during the stream and all the streams this year. Actually, this is I think this is the first year we've done think we only started streaming this year. So it's been fun. It's been fun for us. We got a small group here, but always very loyal, which is a lot of fun for us. So, Cote, I'm going to wish everyone a happy holidays. Hopefully everyone's taking time off and
absolutely
spending some time with their families. That's what I'm going to do. And with that, everyone, we'll talk to you in January.
Bye-bye.